In 2016, California wife and mother Sherry Papini disappeared for 22 days. When she was found, she told authorities a detailed account of being kidnapped and tortured. Years later, in a stunning twist, Papini pled guilty to making false statements about what happened to her, setting off a media firestorm. Now, for the first time, Sherry Papini is telling her side of the story and revealing shocking new information. Sherry Papini, Caught in a Lie, an ID documentary event, Monday, May 26th at 9 on ID. Set your DVR. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 207 of the True Crime All the Time podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me in studio is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you? It is amazing to have you back.
Hey, man, I'm trying, man.
I know you are.
Yeah.
I know you are.
I'm good, though.
You know, you and I just did kind of a Patreon thing, that we put out for our Patreon supporters.
Right.
And we'll keep this part brief, but I've missed you so much.
Same here.
I think the fans have missed you.
Miss them.
And just the fact that, you were feeling good enough to do the intro for this episode is amazing. Because I'll just tell everybody up front, what we're putting out today is a Patreon episode that we probably did last year sometime.
Right.
It's a great episode, and you're in it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you were up for, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, for really belting out 2 brand new episodes this week.
Not this week.
But you were up for the intros.
Yes.
Obviously much shorter.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets to hear from you.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. We know you got your ass kicked.
I did.
But like I told everybody, Gibby's a fighter. I don't know if you fought the COVID with the K-bar. I don't know how you did it with the help of some good doctors and all of that.
Yeah.
But
oxygen machine. Yeah.
And oxygen. I knew you were a battler. That's one thing I know about you. This was rough.
It was rough.
But with everything in life, you just don't let many things get you down. If they do, you fight to bounce back. You've always been like that since I've known you.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of confidence that you would bounce back from this, but I'll be honest with you, man, it was rougher than I thought it was going to be. And I think you would agree.
I'm like Marky Mark and the fighter, man.
You're the one that had to go through it. So. But I'll speak for everyone and say it's amazing to have you back. I had a smile on my face when you walked into the studio because I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
It's great just to sit here with you 6 feet apart and do our thing.
I like the plastic that you guys put up. That's nice.
So let's start out with our Patreon shout outs.
Okay.
And the first one, she requested that you give it a shot.
Okay.
So go ahead and try it out.
Let's go with Menagerie Pharaoh.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's close. She'll get a kick out of it. We had Shelly Clancy.
Hey, Shelly.
Angela Miller.
What's going on, Milla?
Gracie Wilson jumped out to our highest level.
Oh, I like that name, Gracie.
Mary Hammer jumped out to our highest level.
Hey, Mary.
We had Julian.
Hey, Julian.
Victoria Stam.
Well, thank you, Victoria.
Christy.
Hey, Christy.
Stacy Covington.
What's going on, Covington?
Jessica Burke jumped out at our highest level.
Hey, thank you, Jessica.
Justin Snyder.
Good old Justin.
Emily Vanderwagen.
What's going on, Pull that Vanderwagen around.
Tammy Barnett.
Hey, Tammy.
Stephen Miller.
What's going on, Mr. Miller Band?
Mr. Miller Band. Yadi Cisneros.
Ooh, I like that. Yadi Cisneros.
Yeah. It's fun to say, isn't it?
It is.
Nikki Van Scoy.
Hey, Van Scoy.
Scoy?
Scoy.
Alexandra Jackson.
Hey, that's a Mrs. Jackson, right? Alexandra? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a woman's name.
It's like a noble name.
It's very noble.
Yes.
Kaylee Delilah,
Hey, Kaylee and Delilah.
Heidi Kitchens,
What's going on, Heidi?
Casey Bacon,
Hey, thank you, Casey.
Amy Leone,
Leon.
Cindy Wasenius.
Really? Wasenius, huh?
That's a cool name.
What's up, Wasenius?
Kendall Gonsalves.
Hey, Gonzalez.
And last but not least, Linda McClain.
Well, thank you, Linda.
Yeah, I know everybody's going to be super excited just to hear your voice. You know, because you heard it, but my daughters filled in, my wife filled in 1 week. They did their best to pay their respects to their Uncle Gibby.
We'll have a meeting about that later.
Yeah. I got a kick out of it. A lot of people got a kick out of it, but of course they wished it was you.
Yeah.
Then if we go back into the vault, Gibbs.
Okay.
This week we selected Debbie Self.
Hey, Debbie.
So big shout out to all the new supporters and the people that continue to support us.
Yeah.
We had some great PayPal donations, Nick's sales.
Hey, Nick.
Need stuff.
I need stuff too, but
We
I
all
appreciate
need
it.
stuff. Holly Baldwin.
Hey, Holly.
And Kim Higginbottom.
Well, what's going on, Higginbottom?
So again, all the support we get, especially with everything that's going on right now,
yeah,
just absolutely amazing.
Appreciate it all.
So Gibbs, right now on True Crime All the Time Unsolved, we have an episode out. It's on the Freeway Phantom.
It's a good episode.
It is. An unknown serial killer who abducted, raped, and strangled a number of young African-American girls. This happened in the Washington, D.C. area back in the early 1970s.
Yeah.
So again, this is another Patreon episode that we did probably a year or two ago. I never remember how
It's been a while.
old they are.
Yeah.
But you're in it, so I know people will like it. Most people will not have heard it. But with all that out of the way, Gibbs, I'll ask you the magic question.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time?
Let's do it.
So we will let the Patreon episode run.
Yeah.
But Gibby and I will be back at the end with some voicemails, and we've got some mailbag and things like that. So we'll talk to you then. So for this episode, we are talking about a man named Leroy Hall Jr. I'll call him Leroy.
Like the song? Leroy Brown, baddest
Bat
man
in the whole damn town. That's a good song. You know who sings that? Trivia.
Cat Stevens?
Jim Croce.
Oh, the guy from San Diego. I had his restaurant.
You don't know who sings the song, but when I tell you who sings it, somehow magically you know where they're from. And the fact that he owns a restaurant.
He had a restaurant downtown in the Gaslight District. I just remember that.
I do like the Gaslight District a lot. But that is such a famous song. And you go Cat Stevens. But somehow, oh yeah, Jim Croce's from San Diego. I had dinner with him one time down in the Gaslight District.
Is that important information? No. Useless information? Yes.
Yes. I may say Lee Hall. I'll probably call him Lee a lot. But we're headed to Tennessee for this one. We've been to Tennessee a few times.
Yeah, probably maybe almost half dozen times now.
Yeah, there might be a little Krista Pike tie-in to this one in a tenuous way. Hall is a guy who murdered his ex-girlfriend, Gibbs, by dousing her with gasoline while she sat in her car. He set her on fire and killed her. And we'll get into it as the episode goes along, but what a way to die.
It's terrible, man.
It kind of makes me think of, do you remember back in the 70s, 60s or 70s, where that, I think it was a Tibetan monk set himself on fire in protest.
In China, in the square or whatever.
Yeah. I'll never forget that. I don't even know if I was alive, but I've seen it multiple times on history shows and stuff. Just can't imagine what that would be like. And this is going to be a pretty horrific case. We're going to have to get into some details. So be prepared for that. So we don't know a lot about Leroy's childhood. He was born on October 28th, 1966. There are a lot of reports, Gibbs, that his family moved around a lot when he was a child. I think his childhood was very unstable. And you would have to imagine, right? It would be unstable to some degree if you're just moving around all the time. That's tough.
It is really tough, difficult.
But a lot of families do it. Military families. My wife teaches at a school that has a lot of military families because it's close to Wright Pat Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Those families are all the time coming in and out.
2 years in, 2 years out.
I mean, I do think stability, at least in some part, comes from staying in the same place, keeping the same routines.
Well, you know how it is. I mean, you're meeting new people all the time. I mean, it's hard to meet people. It's hard to build a relationship with people.
Yeah. So if you're having to do it over and over again.
Especially for a kid in school.
It is. It really is. But you can look at a lot of those military families. You know, it hardly means that a child can't have stability just because you move around a lot. It doesn't help, but you can still have a great family, a very stable family. Lee didn't have that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But this guy was also not a serial killer, right? So I do think his background probably matters a little bit less than a John Wayne Gacy or somebody like that. At the age of 14, Lee's family decided that they were going to move to Alabama, but Lee didn't want to go. So he stayed in Chattanooga, Tennessee, lived with a family friend or a friend's family, moved in with them. That's a big decision, right?
Huge decision. Huge decision.
Huge decision.
Yeah.
Your family is moving to another state. You don't want to go.
Yeah.
So you know what? You're going to stay and live with another family.
And we almost had that at my house at one time. I remember that was like how the girl's family was moving away right around junior high time. And she didn't really want to go.
Who is this girl? Somebody you were dating or?
No. This was somebody, friends with my kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we actually had the conversation. Would we
take her in?
And we said, yeah. We decided that, you know, she was a good kid and we felt that,
her parents would have to pay room and board.
well, they, you know, me.
I was going to say,
half the
are
mortgage.
you doling out, extra money for extra food?
Yeah. You know,
that does not sound like the Gibby that I know.
I don't know which kid at this table is going to give up some of their food. It's not going to be me.
But if you want her to stay, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. But it ended up not working out. Didn't need to go that route. But we were okay with it, you know?
Yeah. I think I would take in one of my kids' very good friends.
Yeah.
If they were in a situation where, especially you get into like junior, senior year and they just want to try to finish out.
Right.
But at the age of 14, not to want to go with your family, I get it, right? Senior year, you don't want to leave. You've made all these friends. But the thing about Lee Gibbs is he did have a history with fire, which we know is going to be important,
right,
based on the crime that he's going to commit. He also had some other criminal behavior. But as a kid, and I mean like the age of 6, he set fire to his bed in 1972.
It's a problem.
It seems like a problem.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, about 6 years old. That's a red flag in my book.
I mean, the master's tag says flammable.
It also says don't remove.
Yeah. Well,
which most people do against, what does it say? Against federal regulations or penalty of law or something like that.
First thing I rip off just because I want to be a bad guy.
But wouldn't that be a red flag if a 6-year-old sets their bed on fire? Now, if it was an accident, it was an accident. I don't get the sense that this was an accident because the very next year, he tried to set his mother's boyfriend's car on fire.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's 7 now. He's graduated to setting cars on fire. He didn't burn the whole car, but I guess he burned the seat pretty good.
And we know arson can be a sign of bad things to come.
It can be. It can be. This case is a little different because we know his ultimate crime is arson related. But you're right. I mean, arson is one of those things that I think profilers look at and say, that's not a great sign of future criminal behavior.
If you're burning stuff down at age 7.
Yeah, 6, 7. 2 years after that, he set off some big fire in a wooded area. I don't think there's any doubt. This guy had a fascination with fire.
I mean, I did when I was little, but not like that.
No, I think all kids to some degree. I mean, you see kids like sitting in front of a fireplace.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, wow, it's flickering, or, you know, looking at a candle, fascinated with how fire works. I think that's natural. It's natural to have a fascination or wonder how things work or things
It
happen.
was always fun to make the fire, supervised.
Allegedly.
Yeah. In the fire pit.
But to make the conscious decision as a very young kid that I have the need and I'm going to set fire to my bed. I'm going to set fire to my mother's boyfriend's car.
Yeah.
That's
disturbing.
Yeah, it is. It means something. There was something going on in this kid from a pretty young age. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He also had some charges for driving under the influence, fighting, truancy. He had some little things, as well. But he also allegedly snuck up on his mother's boyfriend with a knife. Didn't stab him, but you turn around and, somebody's doing the Michael Myers or whatever behind you.
A little psycho thing.
Or psycho. That's probably a better.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I do that a lot.
You do, and it scares the shit out of me every time you do it.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm in the shower, when you just yank back the. First of all, I'm like, why are you in my house? That's always my first question.
The fact I got in was lucky enough.
Yeah, I don't know how you got past security, but the fact that you're in my house when I am taking a shower and you feel the need to just throw it wide open and have a knife in your hand.
But I ask you the same question every time. Why are you showering in your shorts?
Because I know.
It's like Arrested Development or something.
Because I know you're going to fling it open.
Yeah.
You're probably videotaping me on your phone as you do all kinds of
maybe
strange things. Next thing I know, my wee Willy Winker is on Instagram. I can't have that.
At least you got the wee part right.
So stay out of my house.
Yeah.
Unless we're taping. That's
the only time it's acceptable.
It's been the rule since day one.
Just follow the rules. You go to swim clubs and they have the 10 rules on the board. They can't see it, but you got 10 rules right here. And then that is just
a bunch of them are C number one.
Yeah, go back to number one.
And then I think if you go back to the boyfriend, what's this guy thinking? You got to be rethinking your choices at this point.
Sure.
Is this woman worth it? Her son set my car on fire. He is acting like he's going to stab me with a knife. I don't know. What did I sign up for?
I'll be out. Be like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe at that time it's probably best to update your dating profiles, weigh some different options. Now, I don't know what dating profiles they had way back then, but
that was his friend to friend.
Yeah.
I'd be like telling my friends, hey, if
you have any friends.
First of all, you gotta have that first.
I'm looking. No, I meant
your
friends.
Yeah. Oh, if you have any friends.
If you have any female friends, I'm looking.
Yeah.
So I think this story really picks up in 1984 because that's when Lee Hall met a girl named Traci Crozier. And I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, Gibbs. I heard it said like 3 different ways.
Crozier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Crozier.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it a lot, but you know me. I really hate we butcher a lot of names.
Right.
But I do not like to mess up victims' names because I think that's very important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We're telling their story. You want to get their names right. The problem is I listened to some news articles or some news casts. They said it a bunch of different ways.
So they're not even sure.
No.
Yeah.
That always makes it much, much tougher. So the pair began dating. Classic story, right? Seems like they hit it off right away. And that new love. Everybody listening or watching remembers your first crush, your first love. I mean, that's a feeling that is kind of hard to get back.
Second grade, man.
Don't tell my wife, but obviously it's different when you've been married 23, 24, 25 years.
Yeah.
It's a different type of love. It's a much deeper love, but it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
That first time, your first love, it's like, you're floating on a cloud.
Yeah. The world stopped, man.
You're going to marry this person, white picket fence.
Yeah. Stopped the world and I melted with them.
Okay. Now you're just quoting song lyrics.
Songs. Yeah.
But it is a great feeling, right? Anything's possible. I'm not sure what the best phrasing for it is. My wife's probably going to hear me as I edit this video. Yeah. And she's going to be like, what do you mean by old love?
Yeah. Explain that to me.
Explain that.
2 hours later, you get back to editing.
We're in a fight. This thing never gets out.
Right.
Yeah, I just mean that we've been married, for a long time. When you've been married as long as I have.
Yeah. I think we all got it. I think you're probably best because she's still listening to you editing. She's like, you really are trying to sell this.
No, nothing. None of this is for you. None of this is for the podcast. All of this is strictly for my wife.
Yeah.
In case she hears this as I'm editing. Love you, honey.
Yeah.
I didn't mean anything by that. I get in trouble a lot for my choice of words. But back to Lee and Traci. They met. They fell in love. They were young. Lee was 18. Traci was 16 when they met. By 1986, the two were living together. They're still only like 20 and 18.
It's young, man.
That is young. That's young to move in together. I think it's tough for most relationships to really flourish when you're that young. You don't have great jobs. You're not making enough money. You're going to fight. Yeah. It's going to be tough to make it at that young age. I think so.
No, I believe, I know that because I lived that.
Yeah, I got married young and my wife and I met young. I think just the monetary aspect alone is very difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, remember back in the day, probably when you and your wife first met, a lot of fights were probably about money or the lack of it.
Yeah.
It's just very, very normal. Add on top of that, the fact that Lee had some anger problems, much like yourself.
A little bit. No.
You don't. You're the last person.
I'm very calm.
To have anger. If anybody of the two of us has anger problems, it's me.
Yeah.
This guy was not bright. So he's got anger problems. He's not a bright guy. His IQ was down in the 70s. So we talked about Gacy, right, on last week's TCAT.
Right.
They pegged him at about 118. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
And I do think in a lot of respects, Gacy was a pretty bright individual. When you get into the 70s, you are not functioning at a very high capacity.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out how to say it in the most euphemistic way.
It should give somebody concern with what they can do with their abilities, their functionality in certain jobs, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to exclude you from a lot of jobs. Yeah. Also, are you 18 feet away from the microphone? You're like, it should.
Yeah, it should.
Can you get any further away from the microphone? No, I do. You're right. Low IQ. It's not going to be the easiest thing to find. It's not like this guy's going to become the CEO of some big company.
Right.
He's not going to make millions of dollars. It's just never going to happen.
It's that lotto.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, no.
Right. Yeah. In the real world.
Right.
I don't consider lotto the real world. He also abused alcohol and drugs, including crack cocaine. So this is a very volatile combination.
Yeah, not healthy.
Low IQ, a penchant for arson, alcoholic, addicted to crack.
It's all lining up, man.
And you know what Whitney would say about that? She wouldn't be happy at all.
It would be whack.
Until the end of her life. And then it seemed like she got into some stuff herself.
Yeah, some crazy stuff.
That's a whole episode.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty easy to believe that this relationship between Lee and Traci was very rocky, right? They would break up. They would get back together. In late 1990, Lee took off for Oklahoma. He was going to stay with his cousin. And he had this grand plan. So he was going to find a good job in Oklahoma, but he was also going to find a treatment center.
Yeah.
To get off the alcohol, to get off the drugs.
That's good.
It sounds like a really good idea.
It's a start.
A start of a really good idea. Yeah. The problem is it doesn't happen because he cannot stay away from Traci. He just can't do it. You know, it's almost as if they were magnets to each other.
Yeah.
He's back in Chattanooga by the very next month.
So he had an obsession.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely had an obsession, but I actually think the two of them were very into each other.
Okay.
And I don't know, Gibbs, if you've ever known any couples like that, where they are so into each other, regardless of how bad they are together,
right,
that they're basically toxic.
Yeah.
But they cannot stay away.
They keep coming back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're magnets.
Yep.
So Lee and Traci are back together in January of 1991. This literally, he's not even gone a month, right? This thing in Oklahoma.
Right.
He just can't leave her. But by March of that year, Traci had moved out into her grandmother's house. Her uncle lived there as well. She was done. She said, you know what? We've given it all the tries that we can give it.
Nowhere else to go.
No. Now, you said he had an obsession. I think he did. Obviously, with her moving out, she doesn't feel the same way.
She's probably realized after all this time that he's bad for me, not healthy. I realize that now. I'm going to move forward. But he's still stuck back in it's us, do or die, man.
See, that's the thing. When you are obsessed, it doesn't matter what the other person does. Your perception of the way things should be doesn't change. No. They say, I hate you. Get out of my face. I'm leaving you. Doesn't matter.
He hears, she still loves me. She still loves me.
So you're telling me there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
So there's 1 in a billion. I'm still in.
All right, Gibbs, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsors. And first up is Aurora. Aurora offers organic luxury hybrid mattresses with natural foam and New Zealand wool fiber. If you want your best night's sleep, lose the memory foam. Aurora features premium Sri Lankan latex and wrapped coil springs to provide contour and a touch of bounce for supportive sleep throughout the night. You'll get neutral spine alignment, so no sinking or pulling on the natural curve of your back. Your weight is evenly distributed from head to toe with a touch of bounce you simply can't get with old-fashioned memory foam mattresses. They have a best-in-industry 365-night trial. No questions asked. If you don't like it, they'll take it back, even if it's at day 364. They have free shipping and returns and a forever warranty. And every time you choose Aurora, know that 10 trees will be planted to restore forest in Kenya, Uganda, or Tanzania. And they have an exclusive offer for our listeners. $350 off plus 100 trees planted. With your purchase, sleep better knowing you just planted a small forest. Visit aurorasleep.com/TCAT. And next up is Best Fiends. You all have heard me talk about it. I'm a gamer. I love games. My favorite thing about Best Fiends is that little bit of rush of adrenaline that I get when I'm trying to beat or when I do beat that next level. Best Fiends is a great way for me to de-stress between the writing, the research, the recording sessions. Sometimes your brain just needs a break, a de-stressor, and Best Fiends offers that. Best Fiends is the infamously impossible to put down puzzle game that's free to download. With over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must play. They're adding levels, events, and challenges all the time, so you'll never get bored. In fact, you might find yourself wondering how you ever found the time for a dull moment before. If you have not tried Best Fiends, what are you waiting on? You're seriously missing out. Download Best Fiends free today on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. The problem is, Gibbs, this is when Lee started stalking Traci.
Yeah.
So I think you were right on the money by saying obsessed. He started calling the house, her grandmother's house, all the time, looking for her. He was constantly driving by the house. He was just not going to let her go, to the point where he set fire to Traci's car on April 1st. This is 1991. All of this takes place in a very short span of time. This was not a huge fire. It did a little bit of damage. This was more of to me, it seemed like I'm putting you on notice, maybe.
Right. This is no April Fool's joke.
Right.
Look what I could do.
And it could be a lot worse if you don't come back.
Right.
That's the sense that I got from it.
To make your decision.
Yeah, I don't think he ever came out and said it for sure, but that's kind of the way I got it.
Mhm.
Because really, less than a week later, in the early morning hours of April 6th, he crept up to Traci's Nissan,
Yeah.
which was parked in the driveway of her grandmother's house. He had a gas can and he poured gas around the outside of the car and he lit it on fire. So the car started burning,
Right.
as cars will do when you put gasoline on.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
But this is like the outside, and the way that it was said in the research was that really the type of damage it did was it melted some of the fenders, some of the bumpers.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he just kind of went really out of the perimeter
Of it.
of the car. He didn't
Sure.
dump it on the top or, anything like that. Again, it seems like more of a notice me, notice what I can do,
Yeah.
or, something like that.
Scary.
It's scary as hell.
To see that happen a second time,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely alarming.
It would be very, very strange because, and Traci's uncle saw the car on fire. He came out, he essentially ran out of the house. He had a gun.
Right.
He fired a warning shot, I think, but
Nobody there.
Lee was already gone by
Right.
that point. But, you're going to pop one off anyway,
Got to.
just in case.
It's the old shoot the how the shotgun was at the
Does your gun have two triggers?
yeah,
'Cause
you pop the duck shot, then the buck shot. What do you call that? The bird shot, then you shoot the bird shot, then the
I don't know, but
the
if
buckshot.
you got a trigger here and one way over here,
it's a good one.
you got a strange gun, my friend.
It's a fun one. It's a safety.
Now that we have video, I
know.
love it that people can see what you do.
Yeah.
Me too, because I do some strange things too, but not like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But let me get back to something that you said. This is scary. I'm trying to get away from this guy.
Yeah.
He is stalking me. He's kind of letting me know that he's not happy with me.
Yeah.
Things are escalating within a matter of, weeks time. So obviously they call the police, an arson investigator comes out. They do all of that stuff
Right.
that you would normally do. They did find a yellow gas can at the scene. But what I found very, very strange about all of this, because we just talked about how it seemed like he was obsessed. He's stalking her. He is setting her car on fire. During all of this, friends said that the two of them were still going out as though they would go and hang out.
So go over there, light the car perimeter on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, show up and say, "Hey, you want to go grab a beer, grab a bite to eat, catch a movie?" Man, what do you mean somebody lit your car on fire? Or did you get my message?
This is weeks leading up to Traci's murder.
It's weird.
While all of this is happening, she knows who it is.
Right.
She knows it's him, but yet she continued to go out with him.
So maybe she's trying to keep him passive.
Yeah, I don't know. There was never really much that I could find, or really anything that I could find, as to what her mindset might have been for her reason for doing that.
The old keep your enemies closer.
No, I get it.
Keep an eye on them thing.
I get it. Maybe if she thought, hey, this is escalating, maybe I can de-escalate it.
Right.
If I only sit with him and have dinner, we'll talk. I don't know.
Right.
All of that is speculation because there's no way for us to really know. But there were people that later testified at trial that said, yeah, they saw him out, hanging out together in the weeks leading up to their murder. I said it's like they just cannot stay away from each other.
Yeah.
There's something that is drawing them, and maybe it's that first love. Maybe, I don't know what it is.
Sometimes it's just that I think people put so much time into each other that they feel like it's what they have to do. We got to stay together.
Regardless of how things bad are
it's terrible
in the relationship.
But we got all this time together,
But every time that Lee would call Traci's grandmother's house, either her uncle would answer or her grandmother would answer. They would let him have it. Basically, they knew this guy was trouble. They knew he had set fire to her car already twice.
Right.
And they told him, stay away. We don't want you here. Traci doesn't want you here. It was during one of these calls that he allegedly said, if I can't have her, nobody can. Gibbs, that is pretty ominous. Usually when someone says something like that, something bad is about ready to happen.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's never been good in any of the cases that we've done, for sure.
Yeah, we
now,
know the outcomes.
Granted, the cases that we do all involve bad things happening, but I do think when you hear that, you have to take it very seriously. And I'm not saying they didn't, but...
Yeah, but I think if you don't, that's the part that you get worried about. Why wouldn't you take that seriously?
Yeah.
Just to brush it off and be like, that's just what he does. He's just kind of like that.
Yeah, I don't know that they did that. I think they knew this guy was a bad seed.
Yeah.
At least her grandmother and her uncle.
Yeah.
Now, what Traci was trying to do, I don't know. Either she really couldn't stay away from him because she deep down truly loved him.
Yeah.
Or like you said, maybe she was trying to diffuse it, de-escalate it before it got worse. I don't know. But this brings us to the night of April 16th. Like I said, this is like 2 weeks, right? Basically burns her car on the 1st, burns it again on the 16th.
Yeah.
She's going to be dead by it's technically the 17th, the morning.
Right.
It's not a long time.
No.
And she just broke up with him the month before.
30 days max.
Yeah. He did not wait very long.
Yeah.
So on this day, Lee's very upset about the separation from Traci. Again, despite the fact that it was well known they were still seeing each other every once in a while. But on this day, he had been drinking pretty heavily with one of his buddies.
Okay.
Reports, Gibbs, were that between the two of them, they drank 2.5 cases of beer. 2.5 cases of beer.
That's a lot, man.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
24 in a case, right?
Yeah.
Unless you go with one of those big Coors Light, like 30 packs or something. But I'm just assuming
Normal case.
this is a normal case, 24 beers and then some. Because it was 2.5 cases.
Yeah. So, I mean, they each had a case of their own.
At least, and probably more. Each of them probably had more.
Yeah.
It was also said that he was smoking a little bit of crack cocaine.
Well, there you go.
So
beer didn't get him there. The crack cocaine topped it off.
let's just assume the guy drank 30 beers.
Yeah.
And had some crack
Had a
cocaine.
little crack.
That seems like a lot.
It's a disaster waiting to happen.
His buddy later testified at trial that Lee had been trying to call Traci a bunch of times throughout the day into that night, but he couldn't get a hold of her. And that was ticking him off.
Sure, probably just kept escalating up,
Well, along with the 30 beers.
Yeah,
and
every 4 more beers.
crack rock.
Crack rock.
So his buddy said that he went to bed around 10:30. Lee left, took 5 cans of beer with him when he left. Because, after you've had 30, 40 beers,
Right.
you need a roadie or 5
Got to have a roadie. Yeah.
to take with you. He stopped somewhere along the way. He's out driving
Yeah.
after all of this drinking
30 plus beers, a little crack, and still driving.
and took 5 more, drank those.
Yeah.
Then he stopped and got a 6-pack because you got to, I just need one more 6er.
You got to keep the buzz going.
Dude, that's not keeping a buzz going. That is, I don't remember my name for 3 days.
Yeah.
If I drank that much, I'm telling you.
It's like 40 beers by the time he's done. Yeah, that's a
And
lot.
he is out driving the neighborhood
Yeah.
looking for Traci and stops and gets another 6-pack.
Just because.
When you say somebody's an alcoholic, right? What do you think about? Okay. They drink too much. They drink every day. I don't know what the exact definition of an alcoholic is. To me, if you drink 40 beers at a time, you are, if there's something higher than an alcoholic, that you're it.
I mean, that's definitely a binge drinker for sure.
For sure.
And if they do it on a consistent basis, I would say they're probably an alcoholic.
Because I think that's part of the definition, right? The
Yeah.
consistency
Consistency
of the drinking. I drank a lot in college, but never would I have dreamt of drinking, 30, 40 beers. I just never would have been able to do it.
And you want to call yourself the Tank.
And you want to be my latex salesman?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I did that once, never do it again.
it didn't go well.
Never does.
I hate to have to fire you too. It's such a bad experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, you can't be my latex salesman anymore.
Nope.
So I mentioned it. Lee's driving around. He's shit-faced. He's angry. And the alcohol couldn't have helped. My assumption, Gibbs, is he started out ticked.
Yeah.
10 beers in, you're pissed. 20 beers in, you're more than pissed, whatever that is. And
May have been the reason he kept on getting more beers.
And at some point you're furious with this person after 30, 40 beers.
Yeah.
The anger is just bubbling up inside. So as he's driving around looking for Traci, he drove by her grandmother's house. He drove by the place that she worked. He even drove by some bars looking for her car. No luck. It's a lot of driving for a guy that's had that much alcohol.
It is.
During one of the drive-bys of Traci's grandmother's house, her uncle, Traci's uncle, saw Lee and allegedly threatened him. My assumption is he's driving pretty slow, right? Going by the house, doing a drive-by, looking to see who's home.
Scoping it out.
Yeah. Her uncle saw him and threatened him to stay the hell away. People that have drank 30, 40 beers, maybe they're not scared off very easily. It didn't work. This guy had consumed a walk-in cooler's worth of alcohol. He thought, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, I mean, you can't discount the crack, crack.
I forgot. I keep forgetting about the crack.
Yeah, crack is going to take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it really did. So what he did was he drove to a gas station and he filled up some type of tea jug with gas.
Okay.
Which is against the rules. Everybody knows you are only supposed to use approved containers.
He broke the law right there.
He broke the law.
By taking
or at least the law of the gas station. I don't know if that's a real law, but it says so on the pumps. And they take it pretty seriously. So he put some gas in some type of tea jug. He got some towels. The towels they have at the island.
Yeah.
To
paper towels.
Wipe off the squeegee after you squeegee your windshield. He took those towels and he shoved them into the mouth of the bottle.
Okay.
He also bought a cigarette lighter. I think we can all see where this is heading.
What do you call those cocktails?
Like a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, Molotov.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Most of the time people use bottles, but I guess you could use a tea jug. It would still work. I think the reason why you use bottles is because a bottle breaks.
Yeah.
So
don't get the same impact if you throw a plastic one, it just bounces around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not if you're trying to make a real Molotov cocktail, I think you're supposed to use a bottle.
Right.
So he's got this contraption that is essentially, like you said, a Molotov cocktail. And he puts it in the car. He drives back towards Traci's grandmother's house again. I think the thought process is, Gibbs, he knows she's going to be there at some point. Right? She's staying there.
Right.
So he's just going to keep going back until...
Eventually he'll catch her there.
Yeah.
At the right moment.
He doesn't, but he does see her car on the way. So he gets her to pull over. The two of them start to have a conversation. I think he even got into her car at one time. And you can imagine how this conversation went. He tried to talk Traci into moving back in with him. She wasn't having it. I think she was done.
She probably tried to reason with him at first and then realized he was just too shit-faced and whacked out that it wasn't going to go nowhere.
You ever tried to reason with a guy that's had 40 beers and smoked crack? I mean, I tried it with you last week. It did not go well at all.
It didn't help, did it?
No.
I still got my way.
Whatever the conversation was, I know at least part of it was, I love you. Please come back, move back in.
Right.
She said no. And I think that infuriated him even more.
Well, he was ready for that answer. He was ready for the no.
Yeah. Why else would he have the gasoline? But he also apparently asked her a question. He asked her if she was pregnant, which there really wasn't any context that I could find around the question. I don't know why he thought maybe she was pregnant, But he said that if she was, she couldn't have another abortion. Now he's going to, comes out from him later on.
Sure.
Right. I assume he's telling the truth about this part. I don't know why he would lie about this. It did come out in trial that Traci had 2 abortions.
Okay.
One in 85. I think the other one was in 1990. So I don't know why he didn't want her to have another abortion if she was pregnant. She wasn't. And I'm not sure why he was under the impression that she was.
Well, maybe if she said, yes, I am, maybe then he wasn't willing to go follow through. Maybe he wanted to make sure that she would be able to birth the baby.
You're saying maybe he wouldn't have gone through with it.
Exactly.
I never thought about it that way.
Well, since you're
possible.
pregnant, I'm not going to do anything yet. Let me get my child from you. Then we'll resurface
I
this
actually
later.
never thought about that. I couldn't figure out why he was so interested to know whether she was pregnant because, as far as I know, there was no context to it. But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's probably what he was thinking.
You know, I said it came out at trial that she had a couple abortions. Again, I don't know what any of that means.
Right.
It means more to me now based on your theory. Not the fact that she had the abortions, the fact that he would ask it. But what happened was they got in a huge argument. Lee and Traci, she told him to get out of the car. He said, you know what? You get out of the car because I'm going to burn it.
Yeah.
He also reached into her car, grabbed the keys, and chucked them. So he said, you know, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, this is him. Some of this is him telling the story.
Right. So you
have to take some of it with a grain of salt.
Right.
They would find the keys like 30 yards away. So that part's probably true. What's up in the air, and we'll get into it as we go, is whether or not he told her to get out of the car.
Right.
Because what he did next was he went back to his car, got this jug of tea or tea jug that was filled with gas.
Yeah.
He lit the paper towels that were stuffed into the mouth, and he threw it into Traci's car. It's brutal. It really is. And it's I'm saying it up front. It's brutal as we go through it.
Anytime you use gasoline, the way it travels, fumes, just the liquid itself, right? It's so rapid.
So he throws this in.
Yeah.
This car goes up just like that. And a woman down the street says that she saw a fireball. That's the way she described it. It looked like a fireball to her. So she looked out, she saw that, but she also saw a black car speeding away, a black car that would later be identified as Lee Hall's. She called 911. Emergency personnel responded to the scene, but before they even got there, this woman's son went out to see what was going on. He saw the car on fire. He heard someone inside the car screaming. He later described it, Gibbs, as he was peering through the driver's side door. Now keep in mind, the driver's side door was open. He's peering through it. The car is so engulfed in flames, he can't see anyone in this car.
Mm-hmm.
That's how full this car was of just fire.
Right.
And that really hit me. You can really visualize when you hear this guy talk about it, that he couldn't see anything in there.
Yeah.
Just a wall of fire. So he ran around to the passenger side. And by that time, Traci had gotten into the passenger side. She was trying to climb out the window.
Right.
He helped her out of the car, but he was also at the same time trying to help put out this fire.
Yeah.
It was all over her. And he was pretty successful.
Yeah.
In helping to get it out. When the Chattanooga Fire Department got there, the car was still engulfed in flames. Traci was out, but she was burned on over 95% of her body.
It's brutal.
And like I said, the descriptions are extremely rough. It was said that her hair was melted. Her skin was hanging off of her arms.
Yeah.
That's how bad this was.
Yeah.
It'll give you the shivers. I would assume, Gibbs, and that's all I can do, that the pain would have been so bad that she would have just passed out, right? That's what I would have thought. The pain was so severe
That, or I think sometimes the adrenaline kicks so high up that they're zombie-like.
Well, and that's what must have happened because she didn't pass out. She was awake the entire time.
Yeah.
They even said she was still pretty coherent. She was talking to the firefighters.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
And it reminds me of that unsolved case we had, where they pulled up on the scene and she was already outside of the burning car and smoke was,
oh yeah.
as she talked, smoke was coming out, but the same thing. She was burnt everywhere except on her, behind where she was sitting in the car and the bottom of her feet.
That's exactly what happened in this case too. And that's how they know that she was sitting in the car. And it's also how they know that some of the things that Lee Hall says aren't true. Right. We'll find that out later. But one of the people that showed up to the scene was the same person that had investigated the fire back on April 6th. He later said that he didn't even recognize Traci and he had seen her before.
Yeah.
Had no idea who it was because of how badly burned she was, but she recognized him. And she said, you know what? It's the same person. The same person that did it before, did it this time. It was Lee Hall. So she's able to name the person that attacked her. She said, he threw a gas bomb on me. He set me on fire. Imagine being the firefighter who, you're looking at this woman. She is burned so badly.
You're like, how can you even talk to me right now?
And she's telling you all of this stuff that later is going to be a big deal.
Sure.
Not that I don't know that they would have figured it out, but it can't get any better than the victim actually.
Yeah, exactly. When it's coming directly from the victim, to a reputable, somebody that can get on the stand. He's a firefighter. He's not going to make something up, right? I mean, he's going to.
So they rushed Traci to the hospital. They had trauma surgeons. They had burn specialists try to help her. But like I said, it was very bad.
Yeah.
They said her teeth were charred. Let that sink in.
Terrible, man.
Her tongue swelled up so badly, she couldn't keep it in her mouth.
Yeah.
But through it all, she never lost consciousness. This is what it amazes me. She was awake for it all, and she endured what had to be an unimaginable amount of pain. One of the doctors said that they gave her every bit of pain medicine that they could, without killing her.
Sure.
They gave her everything they could. It just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough.
No.
Pain
every
medicine.
Sensory, every part of your inside and outside.
Yeah. No amount that they could give her was going to make this pain go away. Yeah. Unfortunately, the burns that she received, they were just too severe for her to recover. Traci died at the hospital at 4 a.m. But like we said, it wasn't tough for the police to figure out who their main suspect was.
Right.
She had told them before she died who it was. So they picked up Leroy Hall. And during their initial questionings, he denied having anything to do with it at all. But eventually, as often happens, they wear him down. They catch him in lies. He admits to being there, to playing a part. The question is, what part? He said he loved Traci. He never would have hurt her on purpose. He said he only meant to burn her car.
Right.
So this is how the transition goes from I've never been there or I didn't have anything to do with it to, yeah, I burned her car. I didn't mean to burn her or I didn't try to burn her. At some point, he told them that he thought she had gotten out of the car, this is very strange to me. He kept saying, I never meant to hurt her. I only meant to burn the car. But he did say, I threw this jug of gasoline into the car after Traci laughed at me. But I didn't mean to hurt her.
Yeah, I didn't mean that to happen.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
You got to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you knew when you let go of that jug what was going to do. I mean, you lit it.
So police charged Lee with aggravated arson and first-degree murder.
Which, he deserves.
He absolutely does.
Yeah, first-degree murder, man. I mean, it's exactly where it needs to be.
Don't let allergy season slow you down. Get common allergy meds for as little as $15 with GoodRx. So you and your family, pets included, can stop allergy symptoms before they start. GoodRx is free and easy to use. Just search for your prescription on the website or the app, compare prices, and get a free coupon to show your pharmacist. Save at over 70,000 local pharmacies nationwide, including Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Publix, Kroger, and many more. Check GoodRx before every trip to the pharmacy to save up to 80% on both brand and generic medications. And did you know GoodRx rewards you for saving money too? Join GoodRx Rewards today and earn points every time you use a coupon. Remember, GoodRx is not insurance, but works whether you have insurance or not. And it could be your insurance copay price. I've been using GoodRx for years, and I can't tell you how many times I have saved money even with my insurance. Stop allergies before they start and save big on allergy medications this season with GoodRx. Go to goodrx.com/TCAT. That's goodrx.com/TCATT. You know, once the temps start rising, I realized I was back in the same worn out rotation. Same tank, same shorts, same everything. So I gave my daily uniform an upgrade with Quince. Their pieces are easy, elevated, and somehow make me feel more put together without even trying. Like they're 100% European linen shorts and dresses from $30. Luxe swimwear, Italian leather platform sandals, and so much more. The best part, everything with Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than what you'd find at similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middleman, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I'm getting ready to stock up on shorts for summer from Quince, and I know they're going to be amazing because everything I've ordered has been of the highest quality, and the prices are amazing. Treat your closet to a little summer glow up with Quince. Go to quince.com/TCAT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/TCATT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/TCAT. So the trial was held in 1992. The prosecution's main witness was the arson investigator. This is the guy that was at both scenes.
Right.
He was at the scene of the April 6th fire. He was at the scene where, unfortunately, Traci was killed. He testified about the damage to Traci's car in both incidents. As it relates to the April 16th fire that killed her, he testified that they tested her socks, her shoes, her clothing, all of it. They found gasoline on. And another arson investigator from the state of Tennessee, he took the stand, testified that after reviewing all the evidence, it was his opinion that the gasoline had been poured directly onto Traci. This was a big deal. This is very important in the trial because the defense was contending that Lee just threw it in the car, right? Kind of willy-nilly.
Right.
And all of these experts are saying, no, there's no way it could have happened that way.
For it to expand the way it did.
He had to have essentially dumped it directly on her.
Yeah. Whew.
So I think as a juror, you hear that, either one.
Yeah, it was done.
Horrible.
Yeah, but now that you know that he probably poured it directly onto her, you know, and he's supposed to love her, man.
Well, yeah, exactly.
If that's love, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Like I said, it's a big deal. The defense is trying to say he didn't do it that way. He didn't throw it directly onto Traci. And I'm sure that there is some distinction to be made here, Gibbs, in the eyes of the law. But to me, if you throw a jug of gasoline into a car where someone is sitting, whether you walked right up to the window and you dropped it directly on them, or you threw it in the passenger seat, if that person dies, I'm not really sure that I see the difference.
No, the guilt's there.
But I think in the eyes of the law, maybe there is. I'm sure there is. Yeah. We know in every case, there's always legal wranglings that go on.
Yeah.
You know, it happens in every trial. Lee Hall took the stand in his own defense, which is always strange and a lot of times comical. We get a kick out of that. Now, he admitted to basically all the facts.
Sure.
As they were laid out. He had told police most of them. A lot of the facts came from him. But on the stand, he did say this. He said that he saw Traci get out of the car. This was after he had thrown the tea jug.
Right.
She was on fire. She got out of the car. She laid down. She rolled around and the fire went out. So, as he put it, he thought everything was okay. He thought, she's all right.
Yeah.
I got in my car and I left. I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah. I scared her. She was okay. I got out of there.
Yeah. But, when you factor in all of the other people that were involved, and I don't know if every single one testified, but, the guy that came from down the street.
Pulled her out of the window?
He pulled her out of the window. All of that goes against what Lee Hall was saying.
And that guy has nothing to gain from saying that versus,
No,
Leroy does.
To my knowledge, didn't know Lee Hall, didn't know Traci.
Right.
He just happened to come along and try to be a hero. And I say that in a good way. He really did. So, boy, I don't know. If I was a juror, I think this is one of the things that would really resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, that you're lying.
Sure.
Because we know it didn't happen that way. But even if it was true, that you were callous enough to see your ex-girlfriend on fire and think, she's all right. Yeah. I'm going to get in my car and drive away.
She rolled the flames off, so she can't be hurting.
No, she's got to be okay.
I mean, anybody would, even his lack of intelligence would know that if you've been in a fire, you're going to have some burns.
Yeah. As a juror, you hear that, you're like, this guy, he can't be guilty.
Well, yeah.
He thought she was okay.
Yeah, so he drove off. That's all right. Makes sense. Sure.
No, I think to me that would probably, just be one more thing that kind of cemented everything. And I don't know if it was for this jury, but my assumption is they thought he was a lying sack of shit dumbass.
Yeah, probably.
Which I believe he was.
I think so.
Yeah. I really do. On March 11th, 1992, the jury found Leroy Hall guilty of aggravated arson and first-degree murder in the death of Traci Crozier. 2 days later, I guess Gibbs, he started crying.
Oh.
Lee did.
Yeah.
When the judge handed down his death sentence. He started bawling like a baby.
Sure.
It took the jury about 3 hours of deliberating to come to the decision that he should be put to death.
Yeah.
That's not that long.
That's pretty quick.
I think they were pretty sure.
Pretty horrific.
Yes.
What he caused. So
number one, I think they were absolutely sure that he did it.
Yeah.
And number two, I do think they looked at the horrificness of this crime and said, if anybody deserves to be put to death, it's probably this guy.
Yeah. And because, this is one of those cases where some people would say, shouldn't he get the same?
I thought about that.
But that would never happen.
No, they're not going to light him on fire.
No.
But I actually thought about that as I was researching. You know how, and I don't know if it's the same, but it might, in some states it might be. It used to be that death row inmates had an option.
Right.
They could pick from, in some states,
firing squad, hanged, or whatever.
I'm sure being doused with gasoline and set on fire was not one of them.
Yeah.
But, if you're part of Traci's family, and I hate to say it, if it was my daughter, I think I would want him to go out that way.
Yeah, I think I'd be like that movie with
Law-Abiding Citizen.
Law-Abiding Citizen, where you kept him, because what he did to someone you cared so much about, you would want to make sure he felt every bit of pain that person felt. Maybe I wouldn't if it really came down to that, but I can see how somebody would want that.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to be executed in 2016, but he received a stay. And he's actually had a few different dates that have come and gone.
Yeah.
So he's still sitting on death row right now. with Krista Pike. That's why I mentioned Krista Pike.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Roomies, huh?
In different facilities, obviously.
Yeah.
But now I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, because I know there's nobody that's going to feel sorry for Leroy Hall, but I did want to talk about how unnerving do you think it would be to have a date where they say, you know what, you're going to die on such and such date. All the days leading up to that date, you're soiling your tighty whities.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get a stay. And then it happens again. And you have all these days leading up where you're, again, I don't feel bad for this guy, but.
Wonder if you get your last meal multiple times.
No, I think, well, I don't know. I think you only get it when they're pretty sure.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, because usually the last meal doesn't happen the day before.
Yeah.
And there are some people that get a reprieve on the day of their execution. So would you get another one, or would they say, you know what? You already got your gelatin and your sauerkraut, or whatever the hell it was we talked about somebody got. You got your hot dogs and sauerkraut. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it again. My assumption is you would just get what everybody else got.
Probably. Yeah.
They're not going to go all out again.
Yeah. I would hope not.
But I thought about that, having multiple stays of execution, especially getting up really close to the date.
But you know what? For him, it matches what he did. Intimidated her with the first fire.
Stalked.
Did it with the second fire.
Yeah.
And then the third fire, unfortunately, he did what he did.
Yeah.
So
Either way.
Maybe this third thing, he won't get a stay and things will be done.
The key factor is nothing that he's gone through could ever be anywhere near as agonizing as what Traci went through.
Yeah.
I mean, we described it.
Yeah.
Some of that shit was horrific.
You wish someone could invent a machine that you put your hands in, anything you did to somebody else,
it would do to you.
You would feel it inside, right?
Oh, but it wouldn't actually do it to you.
Yeah, but you would feel it, so you would experience what they had to feel. At least you can say.
Why don't you invent that?
If I could,
you could make all kinds of money.
Maybe I'm working on it.
You just told everybody. That's like that damn murder flip house idea that we had.
I know, man.
And
it's
now
all
they're
over the place.
Now they're doing it. But at the end of the day, as far as I know, and it said he was still on death row. The guy's still breathing. He's getting his 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
He took all of that away from Traci. And I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever be put to death or not. If and when, who knows?
Right.
They could overturn his death sentence. It happens all the time.
Just right away there.
He could end up having it transformed to a life sentence. But I just thought it was one of those cases where not a serial killer, person that killed one individual, but you could see what kind of led up to it. And the act itself was extremely horrific.
Oh, terrible, man.
All right, Gibb. So that was our Patreon episode on Leroy Hall Jr. Now, the one thing I will say is since we did that episode, Leroy Hall has been executed.
He's gone.
Yeah, it happened in early December of 2019.
Yeah.
From what I read, he developed glaucoma over the years, became functionally blind. He was only the second blind person to be executed since the reinstatement of the death penalty in 1976. But the one thing I found fascinating was that he actually chose the electric chair over lethal injection.
Really?
Yeah. Now, why in the world, if you had the choice between the two of those, how many people would choose to be fried instead of having the cocktail of drugs that puts you to sleep?
I'd rather have the cocktail.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think many people would make that decision.
I saw the Green Mile. I know what happens.
I did too. We had some voicemails.
Yeah.
So you want to check those out?
Let's hear them.
Hi, this is Grace from Hawaii again. I just finished all the unsolved episodes, and then I heard my voicemail, and I was so excited. Oh my God, I was so excited. Anyway, I finished all the unsolved. I finished all the solved. Now I'm like on track with everybody else. Gosh, I wish I found you guys earlier. I started criminology, and I absolutely love it. It's really the setup, the detail. Morph is amazing. The interviews are great. But I wanted to let you know that I got my husband stuck on you guys. He really loves criminology. He won't ever call it because he's such a computer introvert. But anyway, I just wanted to call and tell you thank you for the shout out, and I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And yeah, that's it. Aloha. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
That's cool that she listens to everything. Got her
Yeah.
husband into it. I mean, really, if you think about it, that's how a podcast grows.
Right.
From people who like the show, kind of telling their friends or spouses or
We
things
definitely
like that.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
The
we
more
do.
people you tell, the better off it is for us.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say that I appreciate all the things that y'all are doing. My name is Josh. I'm from Oklahoma. Y'all guys are there for me all the time. I work 10-hour days all throughout the week. Y'all get me through my days. Y'all get me through my kids running around being crazy. I can calm them down and be able to sit there and listen to y'all. And y'all are just like French means. Y'all, everybody thinks that I'm weird and crazy for listening to the TCAT and the true crime stuff. But hey, I love it. It's something that I would rather spend doing with y'all guys than anybody else. I just want to say thank y'all and keep your own time to.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and we appreciate you listening. I think there is a trend, right, or a common theme where if you're into true crime,
Yeah.
none of this is weird at all.
No, you talk to people like you, they'd be like, no, this is great. You
No,
know?
they don't think it's strange. They're into it too.
Right.
Now, people are into it for different reasons.
Sure.
But if you talk to somebody that doesn't like true crime or they're not into it, yeah, they might find it a little strange that you listen to X number of episodes a
They might
day.
think you're a little jacked up.
Yeah. But us in the community, you know, we're one big happy family.
That's right.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. This is Stephanie Evans reaching out from Ventura, California. I'm actually listening right now to the Unsolved series, and I'm on episode 83 about the murders of Russell and Shirley Dermond. But you guys are talking about about the time that Gibby spilled a gigantic soda in your brand new vehicle after it was just rear-ended. And I was finally able to catch my breath from laughing because you guys had me dying laughing over this story the way you told it. I just thought I'd let you know. You guys are my favorite. Gibby, I hope you're feeling better soon if you're not already feeling better. And yeah, thanks for all you do. Keep your own time ticking. Bye, guys.
Oh, that was good memory right there. That supersize
Oh my god.
Sprite all over.
And you know, the family still talks about that. That was like one of the first really nice vehicles I had ever purchased brand new.
It was sweet, man.
For some reason, I allowed you in the car. I allowed you to have a drink. You chose to hold it with your shoes.
Well, yeah.
For some reason on the
floorboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, what I will say is we had a ton of emails and a ton of voicemails.
Yeah.
Wishing you well, and so I couldn't play all of them.
Sure,
So I
yeah.
wanted people to know if you left a voicemail, not all of them will get played, but we had a lot.
But we appreciate them. I appreciate them.
And I know you appreciate them.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. This is Robert Buckles out of Iowa. First and foremost, I'd just like to wish Gibby speedy recovery, and also to tell you that I'm fairly new to your podcast here, just 2 or 3 months, but I've pretty much caught up on all the TCAT episodes, and man, you guys really knock it out of the ballpark. The two of you together are pretty great. I grew up in just a suggestion here. I grew up in Washington State, and as you know, we got a couple of infamous killers out there, but one that I didn't see that you've covered yet, and he may be on your radar, is Robert Lee Yates out of Spokane. Back in between 75 and 91, he killed some sex workers back there. What made it particularly interesting about him is he actually buried one of them right outside his wife's window while she was sleeping, and he's just a normal Joe Blow guy, but thought you might want to check into that one. Anyway, keep your own time ticking, man. Take care. Bye.
Nope, we have not done him, but he is on the list. Pretty nasty killer who I know we'll cover at some point.
We'll get there for sure.
Gibbs, we had some mailbag too. Our good buddy Victor Martinez actually sent us a while back, but I waited for you to be here.
Yeah.
Sent us some serial killer playing cards.
Awesome.
And a genuine Victorian penny
Really?
that would have been circulated around the time of Jack the Ripper.
That's awesome.
It's very cool. It's like in a leather-bound case thing. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Very cool from Victor. Elizabeth Gunaka was so worried about you, Gibbs, that she sent a huge box of Twizzlers, some Twizzler socks, and a K-Bar bottle opener.
I love it.
I know. You opened it. You were very happy.
Yes.
And then Cherie sent you a care package as well. Tissues, a book, some soup, and a candle. Just all get well stuff.
Very soothing.
You can use all of that as you take your bubble baths.
Absolutely.
As I know you do.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Let's get out. I really appreciate you coming in. I know the listeners are so happy to hear from you.
I appreciate all of them.
And we'll see where we end up next week, but I have high hopes. I think you're going to continue to get better and better, day by day as you have been. So that's my hope.
Hopefully my pulmonologist or pulmonary doc, whatever they're called.
Yeah. That's very close.
Yeah. Hopefully she'll...
Your palm reader?
Yeah. Palm reader too. Yeah. She'll whip me into shape.
Yep. So that's it for another episode of True Crime All the Time. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
It was over 30 years ago that Clifford Olson first called me. Secret phone calls from Canada's most notorious serial killer.
I knew I was killing the children, but I couldn't stop myself.
Now it's time to unearth the tapes, because I believe there are still answers to be found. I'm Arlene Bynum from CBC's Uncover, Calls from a Killer. Available now.